In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of recognizing the power of knowing how to deal with not knowing. They explain that the ability to handle uncertainty is far more powerful than having all the answers because there is always more that we don't know than what we do know. The author encourages readers to embrace the power of asking questions and seeking advice from believable people. They highlight that finding the right questions is just as important as finding the answers. Successful people are great at asking important questions and seeking out the answers. The goal is to find the best answer, not necessarily to have the best answer already in your head. The author also emphasizes the importance of constantly worrying about what you might be missing and seeking the criticism of others to improve. They advise never making important decisions without consulting at least 3 believable people and actively engaging in a dialogue to understand their reasoning. By following these principles, readers can become better decision makers and handle their responsibilities more successfully. In this chapter, the author introduces the concept of making decisions based on logical calculations of expected value. They emphasize the importance of considering both the probabilities and the payoffs of the consequences when making decisions. The author also highlights the need to ensure that the probability of unacceptable outcomes or the risk of ruin is eliminated. They argue that the cost of a bad decision is equal to or greater than the reward of a good decision, making it crucial to understand what you don't know. The author encourages readers to recognize opportunities where there isn't much to lose but a lot to gain, even if the probability of the gain happening is low. They share personal experiences of pursuing risk-reward ratios with a huge upside and very little downside, despite the small probability of success. Furthermore, the author emphasizes the value of accurately assessing the probability of being right when making decisions. They caution against giving opinions too quickly and instead suggest reflecting harder on whether the answer is right and seeking input from others to increase the probability of being correct. They explain that raising the probability of being right can be more valuable than simply going from probably wrong to probably right. Lastly, the author advises against betting too much on anything and instead recommends making 15 or more good, uncorrelated bets. This approach helps to diversify risk and increase the chances of overall success. Overall, this chapter provides valuable insights into making logical decisions based on expected value calculations and understanding the importance of probabilities in decision making. It offers practical advice for minimizing risks and maximizing rewards in various situations. In this chapter, the author introduces several principles for effective decision-making and prioritization. The first principle is the 80-20 rule, which states that 80 of the results come from 20 of the effort. This means that it's important to identify the key 20 and focus on those tasks first. The author also advises against being a perfectionist, as it can lead to spending too much time on minor details at the expense of more important tasks. Instead, it's better to be an effective imperfectionist and focus on solutions that broadly work well. The author emphasizes the importance of distinguishing between important and unimportant things and dealing with the important things first. They caution against both detail anxiety, which is worrying too much about unimportant details, and mistaking small things for unimportant things, as some small things can be very important. Timing is also a crucial factor in decision-making. The author suggests considering the trade-off between acquiring additional information and the costs of postponing a decision. Some decisions are best made after acquiring more information, while others are best made sooner rather than later. Prioritization is another key principle discussed in this chapter. The author advises identifying and completing all the must-dos before moving on to the like-to-dos. It's important to get the must-dos above the bar and strive for excellence before focusing on less important tasks. The author warns against being distracted by nice-to-dos and emphasizes the importance of dealing with the important things first. The author also highlights the importance of weighing the pros and cons when making choices. It's essential to consider all the pros and cons rather than dismissing something because it has cons. Poor decision makers tend to argue against something without properly weighing all the pros and cons. Additionally, the author cautions against unproductively identifying possibilities without assigning probabilities. It's important to prioritize possibilities based on their likelihoods and importance. Lastly, the author introduces the concept of by and large to avoid derailing discussions. By using this phrase, statements can be understood as generally true, even if there are exceptions. This helps keep conversations focused on the main point rather than getting sidetracked by exceptions. Overall, this chapter provides valuable principles for effective decision-making and prioritization. By following these principles, individuals can make better choices, focus on what's important, and avoid getting overwhelmed by minor details.